Does megapixel count matter? Hello guys, this is Madhur Agrawal, your host, and welcome to the Sunday Capsule podcast. You must have seen various smartphone brands in their mid-range smartphone are opting for higher megapixels count, while the smartphone's camera pioneers like Google Pixel and iPhones choose to go with a 12 megapixel sensor. Even in DSLRs, we get a 12 megapixel or a 16 megapixel sensors. Does higher megapixel count really matters or it's just a gimmick? Let's find out. So as usually, we have to start with the basics. First of all, we need to know what is a pixel. A pixel is the smallest portion of an image. In other words, it is that dot that appears on a digital image after zooming it. Similarly, a megapixel means 1 million pixels. So the general resolutions you see in your day-to-day life are actually pixels count. For example, let's take HD, which stands for High Definition, has a resolution of 1920 into 720, which is 1,382,400 pixels, or basically 1.4 megapixels. While if we jump to 4K, which has a resolution of 3840 into 2160, which approximately means having an area of 8.3 megapixels. So, in other words, we can say the resolutions are the length and breadth of the display you are purchasing. Well, I am pretty sure you must be thinking by now that if we can shoot a video at 4K with an 8.3 megapixels camera, then why there is a need for opting higher megapixels count? Well, on paper it is 100% true, but to understand it, we need to dive deeper. Behind your camera lens, there is an image sensor on which all the light falls after passing through the lens. The bigger the size of the sensor means the more light it can capture, which unlike DSLR not possible in a smartphone. In a smartphone, the image sensor is very small, which results in poor shots captured in low light condition. To curb that problem, many smartphones manufacturers try various methods, like decreasing the shutter speed. Shutter is like a curtain between lens and sensor, which allows the entry and exit of the light. But there is a problem. When you decrease the shutter speed, you need to hold your smartphone steady, which is quite difficult. To overcome that issue, flagship smartphones comes with optical image stabilizations. And what is that? It is actually a mini gimbal being fitted inside your smartphone, which compensates all the movement done while holding your camera. Many smartphone manufacturers also use software optimization in post processing to overcome that issue. But in lower end smartphone, you don't have the budget to install an optical image stabilization, so the point of decreasing the shutter speed is invalid here. Now, what they do to curb this situation is to increase the pixel count to 48, 32, or 64 megapixels. On paper, it means a detailed picture, but in actual scenario, it results in a grainy image. Let's find out why. The size of the sensor is same. Then how can they install a 4x pixel on the same sensor? Have you ever thought? So they achieve this by dividing the individual pixel in four parts. Yes, that's what they do. Search for a pixel size of a 12 megapixel Google Pixel and a 48 megapixel XYZ mid-range smartphone. You will get the clear idea. I mean, it's nothing wrong to increase the pixel size. After all, as a manufacturer, you have to keep in mind your budget and profit. One drawback of this large pixel count is that although it increases the quality in daylight conditions, but in low light each pixel don't get sufficient information of light. So they just copy their neighboring pixels, which we term as grains. That's it for today's guys. Hope you find this podcast informative and enjoyed it. Thank you and take care.